What is up, Annie? Welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you.
We're so glad that you're here today.
Thanks for having me.
Let me ask you a question. Have you listened to any of the previous episodes?
All of them.
What's your favorite?
SZN, man.
Oh,
I don't know him, but it was cool.
Episode 6 is, for me, I hate to say it, it's probably my favorite episode.
Yeah, it
was wonderful. His story's amazing, but his story of redemption, I think, is pretty cool too. Which we really didn't get into too much of it, but it was amazing.
I know, he's like tip of the iceberg. We're just scratching this, and I'm like, get into it.
Yeah. So when do you listen to the podcast?
So a lot of times when I'm doing dishes or laundry, because if I don't have something to keep me entertained, I don't do my dishes and laundry.
Okay.
And then at the studio when I'm painting or working on sets, it's nice to have noise.
Yeah, for sure. What other podcast do you listen to?
I like Bailey Sarian. I don't know if you know her.
No idea.
She talks about like killers and murders and mysteries and weird stuff.
Okay.
So
that's your favorite though?
It's not my favorite.
What's your favorite podcast?
I don't really have a favorite.
Walnut Street podcast.
Depends on the day, but yeah.
That's so cool. So before we really get to dive into all of your cool story, which is going to be amazing, can you give us a little bit of background who you are?
I'm Annie.
Annie.
My first name's Garna. Super cool.
Did I say Annie Owens?
Probably. I mean,
I'm terrible for that.
I'm forever in Owens.
But it's Annie Weitzel.
Weitzel.
Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry if I got that wrong.
But I turn 35 this year, which is insane.
Wow. I didn't know you were that old.
I'm old.
Yeah.
Just tiny.
Can I know it's not probably good for a guy to ask, but how much do you weigh?
Like 112, 115. I'm tiny.
115 pounds.
It took me almost 35 years to get here, so.
Yeah, that's cool. The people in the studio are laughing at that question. I had to ask. Actually, it was Andy who prompted me to ask.
I'm sure.
So you're 35.
Yeah, almost.
You're a wife to who?
Perry.
We've
been together since he was 20 and I was 21.
Wow. So you're older than him.
Yeah, 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal to him because when I turn a year older, he's like, oh, Granny Annie over here. Like, she's so old.
Wow. How long you just been married for 10 years?
We just celebrated 11.
11. Congratulations. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part about marriage?
His laundry, man. The basket's there and the laundry's on the floor. It just that 1 inch.
I would like to think that he's the only one who does that, but
He's
do you guys
not.
do that with your laundry? Do you guys get blamed for not putting your
In the basket. I was like, dude, just throw the lid away and you can just basketball shot at it and on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care about the lid, man.
And he's not the only one. I too struggle with that. Ask Dawn, she'll tell you.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So married for 11 years. You have kids. Mm-hmm. Who are they? I know who they are.
I hope you know who they are.
They're amazing, by the way.
Carson is 12. He turns 13 in December. And then Emilia is 9, and she'll be 10 in October.
Wow.
So, I know, they're old.
I can't believe that. So for those of you who don't know, I have known you. I've known you a really long time.
Yeah.
But because I knew your parents, I knew your sister, I knew a lot about you. But I think we went to church together at some point.
Yeah, in the 90s.
In the 90s.
Yeah, way back when.
Way back when. Tell us a little bit about your mom and dad.
My mom is my mom. She's pretty low key, kind of behind the scenes person.
What's her name?
Dana.
Dana, what's up, Dana?
Yeah. She worked, but she ran the household and she always supported my dad in all of his craziness. And then my dad is a whole story in himself.
Yes, he is.
So.
What was his name, or what is his name?
Well, his name, Gail Owens. He was town board president on the town board for many years in Silver Lake. He did the Youth League, Lions Club, Cemetery Board, just the church. And he was that guy. So.
Speaking of cemeteries, do you remember any of his scary stories?
Oh, all of them.
Tell me one.
They're long.
We got time.
The best one's the white thing.
What is it? I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No, I'm terrible at remembering.
Gosh. They lived in a farmhouse. I'll give you the short story. They lived in a farmhouse. My grandma was home by herself one night. Lots of kids in the house. Old Kentucky people. They love their ghost stories.
Yeah.
And there was an old Indian burial ground, big hill. They said that one night they saw something come down off the hill at the house and knock on the door. And Grandma just kind of got freaked out and shot. And they said that they heard him go, ugh, and then saw him walk back up the hill. So they called the cops. And apparently when the cops got to the graveyard, there was a grave dug open with a casket on the side and whole newspaper article. And it's a big thing. But when he tells it, it's very spooky.
I remember him telling very, very scary stories.
Oh, yeah. It's a very long, you have to have a couple hours to hear them all. But
So you're a mom, you're a husband, I think.
I'm a husband.
I mean, you're a wife. Yes, you are married to a husband.
Yeah, I
whatever.
hope.
Whatever. But you're also a business owner.
Yes.
What's your business?
Timeless Essence Photography.
So you take pictures.
Yeah, lots of pictures.
Do you like that?
I will love it.
Really? What's the best thing about taking pictures of other people?
My favorite would be newborns. And they take, the newborns run the show. So it can be an hour session. It could be a 4-hour session. So I just have moms come in that have just had babies and they don't know what they're doing and they're tired and they're stressed and they sit and they talk to you. They talk to you about their struggles. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's normal. I talk to moms, all the time. And I'm like, what you're going through isn't just a you thing. Like you're not the only one that's stressed out. You're not the only one that's tired.
Yeah.
Like it's normal. So I just like being able to talk to moms in that time.
That's cool. And then on top of that, you also are a nurse.
Well, a QMA.
What is that?
Medications.
Oh, medications.
Yeah. I was signed up for nursing school and I got my CNA license when I was 16, so super young. And that's what I thought I wanted to do. But in geriatrics, the nurses are more at the desk doing paperwork and I wanted to be more hands-on. So I got my phlebotomy license and worked at the hospital for a while.
What's phlebotomy?
You draw blood, vampire.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. That fits you so well.
Yeah, I know.
You draw blood. Okay.
Yeah. I'm so intimidating,
You are.
And then I ended up at Timbercrest and then became a Q there. So.
Wow. Yeah. Do you like that?
Oh, I love it.
What's like the hardest part about that job, though?
You get so attached. So attached.
To who?
All of them. Yeah.
Do they call patients? Like, are they patients
residents.
or like residents?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
they live there. It's
Gotcha.
their home.
So you draw blood. What's the hardest part about drawing blood?
I haven't done that in a few years. I did that when I was pregnant with Emilia.
Okay. So it's been a few years.
Yeah.
You think you can still do it?
Oh, yeah.
Nick, get over here.
I can do it. The funniest part is you have these little old ladies that come in and they just sit like a champ. And then you have these big tatted out guys that are like terrified of needles.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of needles.
It's the guys.
We're wusses.
I'm telling you.
But, so are you still doing that? Like.
No.
Why?
Because at Timbercrest, it's the nurses do it.
Okay.
And most of the time they don't, labs are done at the facilities.
Right. So are you still like a.
QMA.
What is it?
It's like qualified medicine administration.
And they get, and you were a QMA at 16 years old?
No, I was a CNA at 16. So a CNA is like
I'm so confused. ABC, like, this is ridiculous.
I know. It's a thing. But like CNAs are more of like patient care. So like you help them get ready for the day or for bed.
And you can do that at 16?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where did you get your license to do that?
Ivy Tech.
Wow. At 16?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember this about you.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
I love to take care of people. It's a thing. It's more about me than it is about them.
Okay.
Kind of a thing.
Okay. So. Nursing, I think I already asked you what was the hardest thing about maybe being a nurse, or it's just the patients.
You just get attached. Because it's a nursing home. Yeah. So some of the residents I've had for the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. And then when they pass, it's hard.
Yeah. How do you get over it?
You just kind of have to compartmentalize it. Like they're 90 and they lived a life. They had a great life. So it's just their time.
What's it like being with the families? Do you get to spend much time with the families of the residents?
I'm PRN now, so I'm only there a couple days a month. But when I was full-time and the families would come in, some of them are so fun. And they'll sit and they'll talk, and they know my they know my kids. The kids go in and see the residents. And so it's just like a big family. And then when residents pass, a lot of times they're what we call down for the count. They're just kind of in bed. So the family's there at bedside, and it's kind of a privilege to take care of the resident for so many years and build that relationship with the family and then be there for that hard time. So,
wow. Well, thank you for all you do for people. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good job.
I don't think I could do it.
Oh, you learn so much. These people have lived like the coolest lives, and they have the best advice.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Give me some advice.
Like a lot of it is a lot of our Alzheimer's patients, they regress back to the time when they had children. because that was like the cool time in their life. Like that's what feels like home to them.
Really?
So like a lot of them will have baby dolls, or they're looking for their kids or asking when their husband's coming home for dinner. And it just really kind of makes you appreciate the stage that you're in. Like, you know that it's such a big deal and it's going to go so fast.
That's so good. That's so good, because I'm terrible for like not living where my feet are. I'm always like thinking about the next thing. And I'm so bad about like being just happy where I am.
Yeah.
Like, stop worrying about tomorrow. Be present now.
Yep. And then the other good lesson you get, I should say, is that they don't have things. They live in a room and they've sold all of their things. So it's just them, and they talk about their family and missing their family and when their family was young, and camping trips and vacations. Wow. And it's not, oh, look at this cool thing I just bought, or look at what I own. But it really puts that into perspective for me, because in 100 years from now, nobody's going to know who Annie was except for my kids. And in 100 years, somebody's going to own my house. They're not going to know I was there.
That's so good.
Yeah. They're not going to know what car all my stuff is going to be gone. And the only people that are going to know who I was is my family.
That is so good. Oh my gosh.
You learn a lot from these people.
That's so good. So you're not like a materialistic person. No. You could care less.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some things that I'm very, I don't know, greedy about, I guess I would say.
Like what?
Pictures. Like, I will drop some hardcore money on a photo session.
Really?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I need some photos in here.
Yeah.
You got any photos we could use in here?
I mean, yeah. We can do whatever. We can dress you up and pose you.
Yeah, well, let's not get too carried away. But before we go any further, let's grab our drinks. So today, Annie, if you've watched all 6 episodes, so you know that we are avid ghost drinkers. Yeah. And how ironic, because you like to tell ghost stories. Maybe we should make an energy drink called Ghost Stories.
Yeah, I should.
But this is cherry limeade. It's my favorite.
It better be good.
It's so good. Let's get into it.
I'm nervous.
Are you really? Because you don't drink energy drinks, right? Yeah, you know the drill.
Mine didn't fizz very much. I should have shaken it.
All right, here we go.
Oh, gosh.
I've been waiting all day for this.
Okay, it's not bad.
Oh, it's so good.
Perry always drinks energy drinks, and he's like, try this, and they don't taste great. This isn't bad.
Oh, that's amazing. I've been waiting all day for that drink.
It kind of tastes like a Mountain Dew.
Really? I don't drink Mountain Dew anymore.
Me either, but that's kind of...
But you drink coffee.
I live on coffee.
How many cups of coffee do you drink a day?
Too many.
How many? Come on. Is that like a full pot, 12 cups of coffee a day?
Well, I mean, 8 ounces. I drink a 16-ounce cup each time. So, like...
Is it black, or do you put stuff in it?
Creamer.
What's your favorite creamer?
I'm not crazy.
What's your favorite creamer?
So I'm a hippie, so it's just usually like sweet cream.
Sweet cream.
Yeah.
My favorite. Thanks for asking. It's Dunkin' Donuts original.
What's the original?
The extra, I think it's what they call it.
Just like cream?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's so good, though.
Yeah.
Every morning, I make a cup of coffee. I drink like 4 cups every day.
Like as soon as you get out of bed?
As soon as I get out of bed.
Yeah, same. I don't even wake up the kids until I have coffee.
First of all, you are the first female on the podcast.
Oh, look at me.
Look at you. So, yes, thank you, studio. Our studio is going crazy this afternoon, but you were the first female to share, and I'm so excited for that you're here. It's so awesome. What was I going to say? Give me a second here. Edit this part out. I was going to ask you a question. Oh, here we go. Yes, thank you.
Crickets. That's Nick again.
It's Nick thinking again. What does a day in your life look like right now?
Day in my life. Wake up. I mean, I carry my schedule with me because it's so crazy.
What time do you wake up?
I usually wake up at 6:15, 6:30, depending on how many times I hit my snooze button. And then I wake up Emilia first because she is a Disney princess. That girl wakes up just singing.
Really?
Yeah,
my daughter used to do that.
Yeah, she's always been, and I'm just like, girl. But she just wakes up, hi, Mommy, good morning, Mommy. And then she asks Alexa what the weather's going to, she's so prepared for life. Are
you a morning person, or are you don't talk to me?
I mean, I've been a second shifter working in healthcare for so long. I'm not a morning person. And then I wake Carson up. We do breakfast together at the table. They get ready for school.
Hold on. You eat breakfast at the table?
At the table.
Every day?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No. They sit next to each other, and I sit down and get their water bottles. And
dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
and Carson's over there like falling asleep.
But like, what do you like? Fix them breakfast or just cereal, oatmeal?
Oh, we don't do cereal. I'm a hippie. I told you this.
Look, okay, but what does a hippie eat for breakfast then?
Usually eggs and toast. I don't just normal food, I guess.
But
Nothing
you sit
crazy.
at the table.
Yeah, they sit at the table.
Do you guys sit at the table?
For breakfast?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
No. See, Perry doesn't. Perry's like, I'm going to stop at the gas station on the way to work and, blue collar boy.
Yeah. Do you guys, I have to ask, do you sit at the table for dinner?
Sometimes. Sometimes we sit on the kids sit on the, because they're not allowed to eat on my couch. Come on now. So sometimes they sit on the floor and watch junk TV together.
Yeah.
But most of the time we're table people.
Wow. Okay, can I be honest? We hardly ever sit at the table.
Really?
Hardly ever. Is that shocking?
I mean, yes and no. I ask Perry this all the time. I'm like, are we weird? Like, I wonder what other people do at their house at night. Like, are we the weird ones?
We sit at the table.
What did you do?
Oh,
What'd you say?
We sit at the table.
Shut up, Jen.
We're
No one asked you.
50-50. Well, I mean, it's not every night. Like, realistically, it can't be, because sometimes we get home at 9 o'clock and we're eating. Like, last night I made tuna melts. Like, tuna melt.
What's that?
Like like homemade tuna salad. And then you put it on bread and cheese and you toast it.
You are a hippie. Okay, so we're living in your shoes right now.
Yeah.
You eat breakfast at the table.
And then the kids get ready and the bus comes and I give them little smooches and tell them to have a good day and send them on the bus. And then it's laundry and dishes and cleaning and all the mom stuff.
What's it like to be a mom in today's culture?
Oh, it's so hard.
Why?
Because you have the pressure of good wife, clean house, good kids, well-behaved kids. You have to be a businesswoman, because if you're not a businesswoman, what are you doing with your life? You have to have a career, because if you don't have a career, you're mooching off of your husband. You just have to be so much to so many people, and you have to be involved in your community. And if somebody comes to my house and my house is in a mess, it's why isn't Annie cleaning? It's never, oh, her husband doesn't help, or her husband, it's always, a lot of stuff falls on a wife. And then to the flip side of that, there's a lot of stuff that falls on the husband. Like, oh, they're having financial issues. What's their husband doing? Why isn't their husband working hard enough? So in our family, based off of what I've talked to you about and working with geriatrics and just knowing how fast things go, it just works best for me to be home most of the time, which is where my business kind of comes into play. Because I don't work full time, but I work enough to pay for the extra stuff the kids want to do. And I'm contributing and I'm chasing my dream, which Perry fully supports.
He's such a good dude.
He is so good to me.
I don't really know him that well, but what I've seen from him, very, very good guy.
There's only two things in the world that make me cry, and one is my dad, and the second would be him. And it's hard when you have a dad like that to find a husband that is comparable to that. And he really is.
Dang, that's saying a lot, Perry. You listening, that says a lot.
Yeah. But it just works out better for us to do that. And the thing I always come back to is women are multipliers. So, he gives me his last name. I give him kids. He gave me a house. I made it a home. He gives me, gives me the freedom to be home and be who I am and chase my dreams. And I multiply that into peace.
So where's the pressure come from then?
Just society. It's the stuff. It's my wife needs to work so we can go on vacations, and my wife needs to work so we can buy a fancier car, and my wife needs to work to do. And in the end, like I said, 100 years from now, nobody's going to care what my house looked like. Nobody's going to care my car, what clothes I had. But my kids are going to care when they get to say, I'm a good mother because my mom was a good mother. And I work hard for my family because my dad worked hard for my family.
Wow. That's so good. That's so profound. Like, I'm guilty. Like, I'm almost probably too driven sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm highly motivated by material stuff sometimes. I'm always looking for the next best thing.
Yeah.
That's stuff I have to work through.
Yeah.
And it's miserable sometimes.
So it's hard to, and in our parents' generation, like we all remember in the 90s, everybody had the same decor. Like it was, I don't even remember home interior designs or whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's like Pinterest. Like you have to have a Pinterest house and you have to redecorate and it has to be up to par. Like you're always chasing something.
Which you just redecorated, didn't you? Or remodeled or something?
I mean the studio, because it's, 70s.
Yeah.
It was a little yucky. But like there's just always, it's unattainable, and you get to the point to where it's exhausting.
So do you do social media? Like, are you on it? Are you on it too much?
I mean, I post mostly about the kids because that's, my life. So
Do you ever find yourself like scrolling and comparing?
sometimes. And it's easy to do, especially as a photographer. Like you start looking at other people's stuff and you're like, oh, why isn't mine as good as that? Or why isn't this? But then you always kind of have to circle back to they're a full-time photographer. This is what they focus on. What I focus on is the family. So you always kind of have to, you have highs and lows. You have to assess yourself.
Where are you at right now?
Kind of in the middle-ish.
Are you happy?
Yeah.
Content?
No, very. And I think sometimes it's easy to be content and not push yourself. So you get stuck in this, I don't know, kind of like this back and forth of you want to do better, you want to have things for your family, but you also want to be present.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to balance that.
Wow. So what's you and Perry's dream together right now?
Mountains, man.
Mountains?
Yeah.
What mountains?
Tennessee.
Tennessee, like Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge.
Yeah. Where's Valley?
I'm trying to think of the mountains though. Smoky Mountains. There
Yeah,
it is.
Smoky Mountains. Yeah.
I love Tennessee though.
I mean, literally, I just want to sell everything we own and just me and him wake up in the morning in a cabin and have coffee. And
You're gonna sell your kids too? Like,
yeah, well, 10-year plan.
I gotcha.
They'll be out of school.
gotcha.
So hopefully.
so you would sell everything to go live in the mountains.
Yeah, everything. Just a tiny house in the mountains, just me and him, coffee every day.
You're not the only one that thinks like that.
Yeah.
Dawn and I have these conversations all the time. Like,
And it's a thing. It's one of those things where you either love your partner enough that you want to spend all your time with them or you don't.
this is sweet. You guys want to spend all that time with your wife? I have one person shaking their head no, and one said maybe. I don't know. I won't say who that is. But Dawn and I, we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
Just like we want to get a smaller home, and we don't even have a big home.
Yeah.
We want a smaller home.
Us either. Yeah.
We want like property that we can just run around and just have fun and enjoy each other's company.
Yep.
like-
'Cause that's what matters.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does.
I tell people the shoebox theory.
Tell us.
It's your life comes down to a shoebox. And I know it's kind of 90s, like a print kind of a thing. But as a photographer, when my dad died, we had a shoebox full of just pictures of his life. And we had a shoebox of stories that we could tell our kids. And I always tell people, I'm like, you got to fill that shoebox. Don't fill it with a car that nobody's going to care about. Don't fill it with clothes that nobody cares. Like, fill it with experiences with your family.
Yeah. So you guys go on vacation every year then with your kids? So you guys do like the experiences over gifts type
For
thing?
the most part. For Christmas, we do like a want, a wear, a need, and a read. So our kids get 4
a
gifts.
want, a wear,
A need,
a need, and a what?
read.
A read. Oh
Yeah.
my! Did you make this up?
Yes.
Of course you did. Of
I'm
course.
telling ya. It's a thing because they were getting so much stuff, so much. And it just like I would carry out bags of stuff to donate because they didn't play with it. They didn't need it. So we simplified Christmas.
So you're creating like your own culture in your house of like, and your kids are picking up on this. Like,
Oh, yes.
they want experiences.
Yeah.
Not necessarily they want things.
I mean, Emily is a girl, so, she has to have the cute shoes and stuff like that. But we try to rein it in as much as we can.
How do you coach that?
I
Or how do
mean,
you parent that? Whatever.
they don't really know any different. Because, I mean, I was 21 and I had Carson. I was pregnant with Carson at 21 and had him at 22. So we didn't have any money. We didn't have anything. We lived in my in-laws' lake house. You know what I mean? So like he grew up not having, and he doesn't ask for much. He doesn't need much. And that's what I tell the kids all the time. When we go to the store, if you want something, if it's something you need, cool. If it's something you don't need, we don't need it.
Yeah.
It's just stuff.
Yeah. So it's funny we're talking about kind of like money and things like that. So I quit my job, like my corporate job last November, and I took a third of what I was making then. Now, that's what we make now.
But the happiness.
But the happiness
Yep.
is I was stressed I was so stressed out.
Yeah.
I hated my job, hated my life.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And so I left corporate America and I'm making a third, maybe not even a third of what I was making, but like we're so much happier.
Yeah.
And I do have to say no to a lot of stuff,
Oh, yeah.
but I think I'm okay with that.
But it's stuff you don't need.
Yeah.
You don't need it. You need happiness and you need your family and time. And
That's so good.
Yeah, it put it into perspective for me. I was working for an employer when Dad was passing away. I got a call on a Monday that they were taking him to the hospital. And by Friday, he was gone. And in between that time, I was 27. I'd never lost a parent. I didn't know what the process was, what I needed to do. So one of the nurses I was working with was like, hey, fill out FMLA, because I was there 24 hours. Like I would go up there and come back for work and go back to Fort Wayne. I was sleeping maybe an hour or two a night. So I went to fill out the FMLA papers, and it doesn't represent the company I work for, but I had a person tell me that they weren't going to give me FMLA to just sit in a hospital and watch my dad die. And that's when I knew. I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, why am I doing this and missing time with my family? And why am I not able to just be there with my dad?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your dad, because I know your dad.
Yeah.
I know your dad, Gail. Loved him dearly.
Yeah.
Funny. I mean, just a funny man.
Yep.
He sang. He was gifted.
Yeah.
He loved the Lord. Like he would sing Southern gospel songs, and I think even at one time I may have been in his band. I really can't remember.
Oh yeah, when we used to go around to churches
Yeah,
and sing,
yeah.
yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm pretty sure they turned my microphone off half the time.
But let's talk about Gail. I mean, you've already shared he passed away.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, and that's a lot of where I get my mindset on family over materialistic stuff, because my dad didn't have anything. He worked so hard. And he grew up, we didn't know this until after he passed. He grew up with a dad that was pretty into alcohol, and he got beat up pretty bad a lot of times.
Oh, wow.
And they never owned a home. He always had a fancy car, but they never had a home. So they moved a lot.
Wow. Okay.
So my dad's thing in life was always, I want to be present. I want to be a dad that my kids can be proud of. He never drank. And he wanted what he didn't have, which was simple. It was just a house with a good dad. And he did that.
A house with a good dad.
Yeah, that was his dream. And it's sad that kids grow up wanting a house with a dad. And that was his goal. And your goals don't have to be big. They don't have to be extravagant. It just has to be what's right for you. And he did it. But he was the kind of guy that we would have people knock on the door and be like, Gail, I don't have money for groceries. He'd pull out his last $20.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. And he'd have hogs, and he'd butcher them, and he'd pass out the meat and from his garden and his eggs. Like he came from nothing, so he knew what it was like to have nothing. So he always shared whatever extra he had.
Yeah. When did he pass away?
2016.
Wow.
I think it was 2006. It's been like 7 years.
Can you share what happened?
He just got Legionella pneumonia. He was a healthy guy walking around, 60 years old, got pneumonia, and he was down for the count.
It happened pretty quick, didn't it?
Yeah, his lungs were just a complete whiteout, and he just couldn't recover. But it was hard. He was a DNR. He didn't want to be intubated or anything, and he signed the paperwork to have that done, which was a blessing, because I wouldn't have wanted to be in that situation. And then on his way to Fort Wayne, his temperature spiked so high, we just never talked to him again.
Wow.
And we had to make a lot of hard choices, and one of which was to put him on a rotoprone bed, which he had hypoxia, so the oxygen doesn't get to your tissue. So the bed is supposed to rotate to help with that process, and in the process, your eyes bleed and your nose bleeds. And
Wow.
I remember my mom saying, she goes, I don't know if we should do this. And I said, if the doctors are saying we should try it, let's try it.
Yeah.
I said, they're not telling us this for no reason. So I was like, let's try. Like at this point, it was so selfish, like anything to get him to stay. I was like, do it. And then it was to the point to where, when residents are passing away, they can hear you. Okay. And I've told so many family members, like, talk to them, they can hear you. I never talked to my dad in that bed because I felt so guilty that I put him there.
Ruben's hitting something out there. Okay, we'll just edit that out, like that part, because he was beating something while you were talking.
It's authentic. You wanted real.
Yeah, but that's annoying.
We're getting it.
I told Ruben, I said, Ruben, we're going to record. Okay. He has no idea what this Okay. Is he done, you think? No, he's not done yet.
Still going.
Gosh. Okay, so this is your dad, 2016.
Ish.
2016-ish.
Yeah,
Dates are hard.
Dates are so hard because I was talking at another photo shoot. I was talking to a girl that lost her dad at 60. And she goes, I'm just now grieving him. And I said, yeah, because it happened so fast and you're so numb
Yeah.
that you just don't really, it's a blur. You don't process it.
So how are you? Like we're 6 years or 7 years later.
Oh, not great.
Do you are you grieving well? Are you still grieving? Are you not grieving? Are you mad? Like, what's that look like for you?
The first year is just, you think, oh, they're just going to walk through the door. Like they're going to come through. You replay a lot of stuff in your head. When he actually passed, Dana, my mom, had called me and she said they're taking him down to put him on a bypass. And she's like, you got to get here. So I drove 80 all the way to Fort Wayne. And the nurse just looked at me and she goes, go in there. And I just kind of looked at her. She's like, get in there now. And I walked in and my mom is hysterical. And she is, you were such a good person. This wasn't supposed to happen to you. And seeing your mom like that and there's nothing you can do was just like super hard. So for the first year, you're replaying everything that's happened. And you're still kind of numb to the fact that they're gone. And then for the years after that, it's just random. It's so random. You think you're over it, and then you get out a box of cocoa wheats and you're crying because that's what he used to make you.
Oh, okay.
So it's just, it comes in waves. And some days you get a little wet and some days you drown.
So do you have more days that you're drowning?
Not anymore. But I'd say it's still monthly. It's so hard.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it wasn't just that we lost our dad. It's that the entire community lost this guy that when they say be the hands and feet of Jesus, this was that guy. So when you see the whole community grieve, it's not just like, oh, it was my dad. It was this mountain of a man that we lost. And I see so many ripple effects from that. So many other people that was their fallback on and they don't have that now.
Yeah.
So that's hard.
Andy shares often about Gail. He talks about Gail.
Carson's middle name is Andrew.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Perry's middle name also, but I pulled for it because of Andy.
Yeah, he always talks about your dad.
He's so much like my dad.
He is too, isn't he?
He is.
They share very similar personalities. So grieving 7 years, not over it.
Oh no. Well, and that's the other thing is we lost dad and then we lost Peyton and then we lost my Nana. And it was just, I was so angry for so long because when you lose good people like that and bad things happen to good people, you just get mad. And Peyton and Carson were the same age. So Kim and I would, what's Peyton up to? What's Carson? And we would compare. And then I almost had this survivor's guilt of why is my kid still here and yours isn't? Like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to talk about. I felt bad talking about what's going on with Carson when they didn't have Peyton.
Sure.
So that was really hard. And then, like I said, with my dad dying, he was such a good person that you just have this thing like, why not me? Like, I'm not that great of a person.
Yeah. You said you're angry. Who are you mad at? Or what are you mad at?
Just the whole situation, the whole thing.
God?
Like why? Well, not necessarily God, but God's timing on it. Like why boom, boom, boom? Like why all these great people hurt so bad all at the same time?
Yeah. So you never so to be honest, like there's a lot of times when I'm just like ticked at God.
Yeah.
So one of those was when Peyton passed away.
Yeah.
You know, seeing your best friend go through that. And then recently my best friend dying.
Yeah.
You know, you get ticked like, well, this doesn't even make sense. You got 4 freaking kids at home, you know, like why would you?
It just gave me chills.
Like, why is he dead? You know, I just told my wife the other day.
Brandon was
like,
such a good person.
Yeah. It did. I guess, you know, it just doesn't matter. So I do say, like, I get mad at God. Like, I just understand, like, why these are good people.
Yeah.
These are kids. Like, why? I don't have all the answers for that, but I just didn't know if you ever got mad at him. Like, because I do.
It's just the timing of it. Like, why couldn't have Brandon passed when his kids were older?
Yeah.
And, like, why couldn't have Peyton lived through high school? Or why couldn't she have fought a little longer? Or, like, why dad at 60 when he helped, you know, all these nice people.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like a punishment sometimes.
Yeah. So grieving is like, I still feel like I'm grieving the loss of my best friend. I think about him almost every single day. I think about him every time I watch football. Every time, like, I look at my phone, I still think he's going to call me. Or we do like Marco Polo. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's an app, and we would Marco Polo each other. It's just like a video messaging thing. Like, I think he's going to message me, but I know that's not true. He's never going to message me again, because he's dead.
Yeah.
And that's like hard.
It is. And for a while, you're in that shock where you're just like, oh, this isn't real. And then the longer it goes on, the more real. Like, and people check on you that first week. They're there. And then after that, they drop like flies.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you lose somebody, you don't know really what to say. I know when Peyton passed away and they're going to be on the show sharing their story too. But when they passed away, I would told him, I said, I don't have any idea what to say.
And nothing works.
Nothing. I don't know what to do here. I just want to let you know that I'm here. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Because his heart's broken and it still is.
Oh yeah.
So how did his death change you?
It puts a lot of stuff in perspective. I didn't cry at his services. I took pictures at my dad's funeral. Like, I hid behind my camera.
Oh, you hid behind your camera.
Yeah. Yeah. You just go to what feels safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
that?
no, oh no. I have pictures of, our last tribute to him. But for anybody that doesn't know, his viewing was 8 hours and we went over. We didn't have a break. There were people I was like, Jama, do you know who that is? And she's like, I never met that person before. Like, he just touched so many people. And there was a point during the services where Frank was like, we want you guys to turn around and see how many people are here. And that hit. Like, I'm not usually a big crier, and especially in the trauma. But when I turned around and I saw all the people affected by the loss of this guy, it hits so hard.
Yeah.
And it puts a lot into perspective as far as who you're going to be.
Yeah.
On his tombstone, it says, like, Lions Club. It lists on the side everything he did. And I'm like, my tombstone says Annie right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just kind of puts into perspective.
So you're like we're literally writing our obituary.
Yeah. And right now mine sucks.
Why would you say that?
Because, besides, wife and mother and, that stuff, like, who am I helping today? What am I,
Aren't you like on like this committee or something? Like a soccer
I'm in
committee?
soccer.
Like, that doesn't matter?
Well, you're just always looking, like, instead of looking at things from what do I have, I'm looking at it as what do I give? What's going to be at my services? Who's going to be there? What's going to be on my stone? Like, how much time am I spending with my kids while I have them?
What do you want on your gravestone? If you could live the life that you feel like you need to live, what is it going to say?
Just there.
Present?
There, yeah. My dad, you call him at 2 a.m., he's there. You call him at 6 in the morning, he's there. You tell him you need grocery money, he was there. You told him you didn't have a place to stay, he was there. Like, there were so many guys growing up that were just sleeping on our couch because they didn't feel okay at home, so they would come to our house. So that's the thing that I just there.
Just there.
Yeah. And it's like you said with Andy, you don't know what to say. And people were like, oh, sweetie, it didn't matter what they said. I didn't care. It didn't help. It didn't bring them back. I was frustrated.
Yeah.
So sudden. I didn't get to talk to him.
Yeah. So did you ever get those Christian responses like, okay,
Yeah.
so you must have. So I know, like, it really takes me off when I hear people say, like, God need another angel or like,
His job was done.
like God needed him home. No. That makes me very uncomfortable when people say stuff like that. What's your response to stuff like that?
I don't know.
Did God really need him home?
And that's
Does God
the thing.
does God need anything?
Well, and that's another thing that's kind of.
Huh? Does he, Nick?
No, he's God.
He's gone. It's just one of those things that, like, especially when it was such a giving person, why that one? Like, why not a murderer? Why not a kidnapper? Why not, why not anybody but him?
Yeah. Yeah. So grief is a part of life that I think a lot of us probably don't necessarily know how to navigate through until we're there. What could you have done to prepare you for death? Does anything? Can you do anything?
No. And I remember saying for years, like, when my dad dies, I'm gone. Like, I don't think I'll survive it. But somehow you one foot in front of the other and you get through it.
Yeah. Did your kids know him well? Like,
him and Carson were best buddies.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the timeline.
Yeah.
I guess he is 13. Or can't believe he's a teenager.
Almost.
Is that weird?
It's so weird.
You wait.
I don't want to.
It gets really weird.
I know. The newborn stage I love. The toddler stage I loved. Third graders are brutal. I don't like third graders very much. And then teenagers, he's starting to talk about girls. And I'm like, I don't know.
You wait. He's going to go to his dad, tell him all kinds of stuff. And your Perry's going to come to you sharing that stuff. And you're like, what in the world did I raise?
I'm not prepared.
You're
I'm
not.
going to be like, go talk to Ty.
You're not. I mean, but I obviously want our children to be able to like talk to us about anything. And I think we're doing a really good job with that because I'm shocked at what they share sometimes.
Well, and I don't feel like our parents did that very much.
No.
Like they didn't explain things very well.
No, I've never heard about sex from my parents. Never heard about the weirdness that I would experience when I was 13 years old. I would never, none of it was not spoken of. It was like,
it was taboo.
it was taboo. Totally. So, small business owner. What's the hardest thing about being a small town business owner? Because it is a small town.
I think the most frustrating thing for me is when you go to soccer games, you're going to see a local farmer or a local business on the back of the shirt. Like those are the people that are giving back to the community. So for me, it's kind of frustrating when people inside the community go outside of the community to support other businesses. That's the only thing that kind of like frustrates me because I'm like, Walmart's not sponsoring these kids' t-shirts, know.
Say that, Annie.
Yeah.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Well, that's true though.
Yeah.
I mean, so is it hard to promote your business? Is it hard like on that aspect of it? I mean,
yes, I don't really promote myself.
You don't?
I just, what is supposed to come to me will come to me. I do Facebook and do mini sessions from now and like every now and then, but for the most part, I'm like, if somebody wants to use me, they'll find me.
I'm totally polar opposite.
Really?
Oh, yes. Oh, ask anybody in this room. I promote the fire out of everything. Like I just believe, I mean, not to say you don't believe in what you're doing, because I know you do, but like if you believe in what you're doing, promote it, because you can't, I mean, if people don't show up, people don't know about it, you can't expect, anything. But we talked to a couple weeks ago to a guy, small business owner, he shared some of his struggles. I don't know if you have staff. Do you have a team? Like
It's me and Emilia.
Of course.
She's my helper.
Is she like the CFO, the chief financial officer?
I fire her I'm like, you're fired. She's like, nobody else is going to help you.
Ain't nobody gonna be here for what you pay me, mommy.
I know. She's like, you buy me ice cream.
Which she has a small business too.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Cup Creations.
Cup Creations.
Yeah.
Does she create cups?
She does.
I know she does. That's good.
Cute cup. Your wife bought one.
I know.
She was so excited. Mrs. Walker wants my cup.
We do. So what does she do with her money? Does she like put it back in the business 100%? Cheer? Like
she has competition cheer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So our kids, again, with experiences over things, we try to tell them that you can try. I want my kids to try everything they can while they're with us.
Okay.
I want them to try something and fail so we can be there to help them. I want them to figure out as much about them as they can while they're with us. So she wanted to do cheer, and I was like, that's fine, but it's also very expensive. So I was like, we will help pay for it, but also like I don't want her to be a taker. I want her to realize the work that her dad does and where money goes and financial skills and stuff like that. So she wanted to create a business. So we did. She manages the money and she buys her uniforms, which are like over $100.
Wow.
It's an expensive hobby, but.
Yeah. Where can they find these cups at?
She's on Facebook.
Is she?
Yeah.
Like Cup Creations?
Cup Creations by Emilia. Yeah.
Really? That's so cool. What about Carson? Is he in anything like that?
He says he has a sign. Carson's not quite as motivated.
Most boys aren't.
No, he has a sign business. He made the signs outside the studio that have our address on it or whatever. He does that, but not like she's very serious. He's just like, one in a while.
Yeah. So we saw you last week in a church, and I want to talk a little bit about faith. What does that look like for you right now?
Messy.
Yeah. Talk about it.
It's so messy. I grew up, so obviously, like my great grandpa started the church in Silver Lake, and I grew up in a very churchy family. And it was a churchy family into extreme almost. And as a kid, you're just expected to just know all this stuff. So like if you ask questions, it was almost like an eye roll,
Yeah.
And they talk about like indoctrination in schools and stuff like that, but it really happens a lot in Christian families. And it's to the point where they don't mean bad by it. They want you to believe in God, but when it's forced on you so hard from day one, it's a lot.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, like old school Pentecostal,
Yeah.
we were raised
Old school.
like raised the same way.
Yeah.
Went to the same church.
Yeah.
Saturday night youth service, Sunday night services, Wednesday Bible study. Like you had a drug problem, you got drugged to church all the time. That was the drug problem we had. But you're not wrong. I remember growing up in youth group and seeing these terrible like rapture movies that just scared the freaking
The brimstone and fire.
like scared the crap out. I'm still like I
Yes.
still get nightmares from it. Like I thought the rapture was going to happen every 20 seconds.
Oh yeah, I still have anxiety over it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I
So
feel like every church service was, you're going to, and I'm like, can I just be in church today?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
don't
what-
send me there today.
yeah, right. I mean, we talked about hell a lot.
Yeah, all the time.
We talked about sin mostly. That's like every message. And I'm not saying you shouldn't preach about sin. I'm just saying like if that's the only thing you can preach about, that's what your relationship looks like with Jesus. Like I don't know if I want that relationship because there's a lot better things than just telling me I can't do that. But what can I do?
Yeah. And it just feels like a lot of punishment for things.
Yeah.
And then you lose your dad and you just start questioning stuff. But the cool thing about God is that no matter what religion you're in, there's some kind of a source. They just all call it different things, but nobody denies the existence of it. So that's where I'm kind of circling back to it and kind of figuring out what it means for me instead of what I've been told it means to me.
Yeah. So like Christian, you're Christian?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I've never not been.
Yeah.
And my husband says this all. He grew up in a not church family at all. And he's like, oh, every time I see it, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. And he's like, it's just too much. Come to church. Come to church. He's like, it's too much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it gets to be too much. And I was like, it's one of those things that you have to find on your own.
Yeah. So be honest. You came to church on Sunday. What were your thoughts?
It wasn't bad. I actually liked it. We got in the car and Em's like, we're coming back. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, because like for somebody like me, I've been in church all my life.
Yeah.
I want to know, get a realistic expectation of something. Like, what did you see? What did you not see? What did you like? That's weird or.
Oh, I loved it. For me, I like learning about the Bible and the stories in the Bible and learning about God and not just, like I said, brimstone and fire and like red in the face screaming and
Yeah. Like we got the whole fire and brimstone hell. We got it.
Yeah.
We're good.
But I mean, like growing up in church, it was like the screaming and the shouting and the running and it was just so much.
Yeah.
And it was exhausting. And not that that's bad.
Yeah. Because I
but
still
it's-
love that.
Yeah, it's good once in a while, but every time I'm like, I need a nap. Like, this has been a lot. But just to come here and sit and chill and hear the word.
Yeah. This environment here is a lot more different than what I'm used to or what I grew up in.
Yeah.
It's more like conversation, which is cool. But that's when I preach. Sometimes it's still exciting. Like I get excited. I can't help it. But I still love the move of the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit, and stuff like that. I do think sometimes it was motivated by like our own flesh, though. You know, people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we see some weird stuff in church, right?
It's all energy. You get several people in a room that have the same energy going, and that's what takes off.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I appreciate you sharing like just your faith. It's messy.
Oh, it's very messy. And there's some days where I'm doing great, and there's some days where I'm like, maybe when we die, that's it. Like, maybe that's it. And then other days I'm like, no, that can't be. And then other days, I just go back and forth a lot. But overall, I just try to live the life that I have.
How do you share faith with people? Or I don't know. Do you? Don't you? Do you talk about it?
I don't necessarily share faith because, like I said, sometimes it comes across too much. Like Perry said, I don't want to go to church. When I do, I'll let you know. So when people come to me and they talk about struggles, like especially, like I said, new mothers, I talk to a lot of people at sessions. I just try to tell them like, yeah, I've had that struggle. This is how we deal with it. Or this is normal. Everybody says that. Like, you're not alone.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times pushing Christianity is kind of a deterrent. Like, people just want love. They just want to know that it's okay and they're not weird and that life is hard.
I'm totally weird though.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they just want to know that somebody cares and that you're loved. So I just always try to push that on people. That,
I would love to pick your brain a little bit more about that, but I don't think we have time to.
Probably not.
But you've shared a lot today.
Yeah.
And your faith is messy.
Messy.
You're grieving the loss of your father.
Still.
You're a mother who's like constantly like, am I doing this right? Like, there's a lot of pressure to be this, I don't know, Hollywood mom or something. I don't know how else to say it. Like
Pinterest.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Pinterest.
Pinterest mom. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think there's a title for it.
The Pinterest mom.
Yeah.
Have the house clean, the perfect wife, the kids off to school, everything's happy, dinner at the table, but you ain't got it right.
No.
You're not always successful there.
Oh no. There's
Right.
some days where I make the game go outside. I can't go play, go jump on the trampoline. Sometimes it's too much.
Yeah.
But
So-
like I said, wives they're multipliers. So
I just don't want people to get the mistake that this podcast is all about people who are successful, or like they're on the other side of their story.
oh heck no.
Like you're right in the middle of
I'm
it,
in the middle.
which I think is beautiful too, though. Like you're right there. There will probably maybe a time where you're on the other side of the story, you know, but right now you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And just so happy that you're on the podcast today.
I'm happy to be
The
here.
first female. This is awesome. So share one more thing. Mothers out there, talk to them.
Just time. Time is everything. That's all you have. You've got a newborn for a month and a baby for a year and a toddler for a short time, and no job is ever going to be worth it to miss out on those moments. It's hard and it's messy. The days are long is what they say, but the years are so short.
They are.
So short.
They are. Well, Annie, it has been a pleasure to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in today. This is episode 7 of Walnut Street Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, hit that like button. Thanks for tuning in.